Hi there. Welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to bring you a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your host, Dabney, clinical herbalist, health coach, lover of plants.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together.
Hey everyone, today we're tackling a topic that might change the way you think about cavities forever. Most of us growing up hearing, don't eat too much sugar, you'll get cavities. But what if I told you that sugar is just one piece of the puzzle, and the real story is about an invisible war happening in your mouth right now? We're going to explore in this episode the real culprits behind cavities, specific bacteria that most people don't even know about. We're also going to cover why some people never get cavities even though they eat sugar, while others struggle even with great hygiene. The surprising role of saliva, and why dry mouth is a disaster for teeth. We're also going to cover the truth about fluoride. It helps, but it's not a magic bullet. You'll also learn about food and herbs that naturally fight cavities, and how the power of xylitol and probiotics can actually help fight cavities, and how to use them. And finally, a cutting-edge test that lets you see exactly what's happening in your mouth so you can stop guessing and start fixing. This isn't just about brushing better. It's about working with your body to create an environment where cavities can't thrive. So let's get started. So now we know that cavities are really a bacterial imbalance. But here's something you might be wondering. If bacteria are the problem, why does everyone talk about fluoride? Well, fluoride does help, but it's not the whole story. Let's break it down. Fluoride has been hailed as the cavity-fighting hero for decades, and for good reason. This is how it works. Remineralization. Fluoride integrates into the enamel, making it more resistant to acid attacks. It's also antibacterial, and at high concentrations, it can inhibit bacterial enzymes, slowing down acid production. It comes in topical and systemic ways of using fluoride. The biggest benefit comes from more of a topical fluoride, and this is found in your toothpaste, fluoride rinses, and what you get at the dental office. It's not necessarily swallowing the fluoride like in the water. The systemic fluoride really helps children who are developing teeth, and once they come into the mouth, then the topical fluoride is more beneficial. But here's the catch. Fluoride isn't a one-and-done solution. It doesn't rebalance the oral microbiome. And if you have an overgrowth of Streptococcus mutans, fluoride alone won't fix that. It works only in a healthy oral environment. And if your saliva flow is low and your diet is constantly feeding the bacteria, fluoride is just not going to keep up, which is why there's more holes to fill in teeth. The overuse can actually backfire. Too much fluoride, especially in kids, can cause dental fluorosis, which are the white spots on teeth. This doesn't happen as much these days, but there was a period of time where I saw a lot more fluorosis in my dental hygiene practice. Fluoride was added to toothpaste decades ago to help fight cavities. It was promoted as the secret sauce, and it was supposed to prevent tooth decay. But if that's the case, why are teeth still getting decayed? Why do dentists spend all their time filling holes in teeth? There is definitely more to the story. So yes, while fluoride is helpful, it's only one tool in the toolbox. And if you're relying on fluoride toothpaste alone and still getting cavities, it's time to search a little deeper. And remember, even fluoride can't fully compensate for a diet that's constantly feeding bacteria. It helps after the fact by remineralizing teeth, but the best strategy is to prevent the acid attacks in the first place. Let's talk about the real root cause of cavities. It's bacteria. Not all bacteria are bad. Your mouth is a home to hundreds of species, and while many are harmless or even helpful, there are two troublemakers that are the main villains in the cavity story. There's Streptococcus mutans and Lactobacillus. These bacteria feed on sugar and carbohydrates, not just candy, but anything fermentable, bread, crackers, and even fruit and milk. They produce an acid as their waste. So just like any living organism, when something goes in, something comes out. And what comes out of bacteria is an acid. It dissolves the enamel over time. These form a sticky, what we call biofilm, which is like plaque, and it creates a protective fortress so they can keep damaging your teeth. And if they live there long enough, they're going to pull in minerals from your saliva, and it hardens and calcifies, and that's what people call tartar. And that is what the dental hygienists typically are trying to scrape off of the teeth when you go in for your exam. Those are basically like little hotels that the bacteria is living in, and it's causing damage around your teeth and your gums. But here's the wild part. Some people naturally have very few of these bacteria, while others have a mouth that's dominated by them. That's why two people who have the same diet, one gets cavities while the other doesn't. It's not just about sugar, it's about your unique bacterial makeup. So, how do these bacteria take over? There are three key factors. First is diet. Sabrina and I talk heavily on this podcast about diet. It's frequent sugar and starches, and the intake keeps feeding them. It also has an effect on your gut microbiome, because remember, we're swallowing a liter of saliva a day. And so if we have harmful bad guys in our mouth, guess what? It's getting into the rest of our body. Another factor is a dry mouth. There are many people who have dry mouth issues, mainly because of pharmaceuticals. Most pharmaceuticals, if you're taking just one pharmaceutical medication, it typically will say dry mouth. But if you're taking 3 or 4 medications, then each one of them causing a dry mouth symptoms, your mouth can become very parched. And without that protective saliva, the bacteria will grow even faster. Our saliva is our body's natural defense, and without it, bacteria thrive. And finally, an acidic environment. Low pH speeds up the enamel erosion. How do you get low pH? Well, sometimes people have issues like acid reflux, but typically a low pH is from a constant store of just lots of acidity in the mouth. There's lots of foods that are acidic, but every time you have something sugary to eat or a carbohydrate, that lowers the pH of the saliva. And over time, it gets more and more difficult for the saliva to come into the mouth to raise that pH. So let's talk a little bit about sugar. It is the problem, but not in the way most people think. It's not just about how much sugar you eat, it's about how often you eat it. Every time you sip on a soda or snack on crackers, you give that bacteria another chance to produce acid. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes of saliva to neutralize that acid. But if you're constantly grazing, your teeth are under attack all day. Surprisingly, sticky or slow dissolving carbohydrates like crackers, dried fruit, or granola bars are often worse than just pure sugar because it clings to your teeth. Even healthy snacks can be a problem if it's frequent. And the fix? If you're going to have a sugar or a carb, eat them in one sitting. Don't spread them out, and rinse with water afterwards. I know when my kids were in school, they would partake in the school lunch program, and sometimes there was some type of a fruit roll-up depending on the day. And strangely enough, as a mom, I know it seems weird, but as a dental hygienist, I would tell them, if you're going to eat your fruit roll-up, eat that first. And the reason I told them to eat that first is because if they eat that first, then the rest of the food that they're eating is going to have a better chance of knocking it off of their teeth. Because if the fruit roll-up is the last thing they have for their dessert, then it's sticking to their teeth for hours while they are finishing up school until they get to come home. It's not like they could brush their teeth right after lunch. So I would encourage them to actually eat their sticky foods first, and it would better neutralize the acidity in their mouth so that they would have a better chance of not getting a cavity. So let's talk a little bit about natural cavity fighters. The good news is that you can actually starve bad bacteria and support your teeth with the right foods. Crunchy, fibrous vegetables like celery, carrots, apples, all of these provide mechanical cleaning purposes. The fibrous texture scrubs off the plaque as you chew. It also creates a salivary stimulation. Chewing hard, water-rich veggies actually increases your salivary flow, which neutralizes acid and helps to remineralize the enamel. There's things in carrots, especially like vitamin A, which is essential for maintaining healthy mucosal membranes and salivary production. The best way to use it is to eat raw snacks after a meal to help clean your teeth, especially if you're unable to brush your teeth mechanically with a toothbrush after you've consumed food. Pair it with a healthy fat like almond butter to slow down the sugar absorption. There's things like dairy and cheese. I know some people might be sensitive to these things, but if you can have dairy and do okay with it, they are rich in calcium and phosphates, which are already minerals that are in our saliva, and they directly redeposit things into those minerals into our enamel. That's known as remineralization. It forms a protective layer on teeth and reduces acid erosion. It's also very alkaline, so the pH is alkalinity, which is a way different and the opposite of acidity. It helps to neutralize mouth acidity after you eat sugars. So eat a small piece of cheese after a sugary meal to counteract the acid, or opt for something fermented like yogurt or kefir for probiotics. Just be aware that many yogurts commercially these days do have sugar. So, how about teas? Green tea, unsweetened, has potent antioxidants, and they actually suppress the mutans and help reduce plaque buildup. They also have polyphenols, which interfere with bacterial enzymes and prevent them from producing an acid. It naturally contains small amounts of fluoride, which is a bonus for remineralization. The best way to use it is to sip on some unsweet green tea with meals instead of a sugary drink. You can swish cool tea in your mouth for about 30 seconds to enhance antimicrobial effects. A couple of herbs that I mentioned last week was licorice root. Licorice has actually compounds in it that help kill the strep mutans and disrupt the biofilm formation. It's also very anti-inflammatory. It soothes the gum tissue and reduces the risk of gingivitis, which actually worsen cavities. It also helps to stimulate saliva and helps to combat dry mouth. So you can chew licorice roots, or you can just have it in a tea. You can have a powder in a homemade tooth powder or a mouth rinse. And I actually have that particular herb, licorice, in my tooth powder. There's also cloves and cinnamon, which is also in my tooth powder that I have available. The eugenol, which is in cloves, is a powerful antimicrobial that numbs the pain and kills cavity-causing bacteria. And the cinnamon disrupts the bacterial communication, preventing biofilm formation. So the best way to use cinnamon is to just put it in a smoothie, in an oatmeal. I add it to my tea or my coffee in the morning. You can apply the oil of cloves, diluted in coconut oil, to areas around your mouth that you might see that is a little dark spot, and it can provide temporary relief. And believe it or not, shiitake mushrooms, which is one of my all-time favorite mushrooms, there is a compound that prevents bacteria from sticking to teeth, and it feeds the beneficial oral bacteria. So it's actually a prebiotic. Now, mushrooms should not be eaten raw. You should always saute mushrooms for about 10 minutes. I use butter, always butter, I love butter. But saute your mushrooms in butter for about 10 minutes and then consume your mushrooms. Raw onions contain sulfur compounds that actually target strep mutans. I most always have a raw onion on a sandwich. I have raw onions with my breakfast in the morning. I love raw onions. It's a wonder I have any friends. But it's also a prebiotic, which supports good gut health and also oral bacteria. The good guys, that is. You can add raw onions to your salad or sandwiches, and you can just chew a small piece briefly. And believe it or not, sesame seeds. The scrubbing actions helps remove plaque mechanically, and it's high in calcium, which supports enamel remineralization. You can sprinkle it on your salads or blend it into tahini. You can even take a handful and just chew it as a snack. Cranberries, which are a little bit hard to find in the spring, they're typically more in season in the fall, but they prevent bacteria from sticking to teeth. Just caution, use unsweetened cranberry products. It's very difficult to find these days because cranberry is a bit bitter, and so people tend to want sugar added to their cranberries. But sweetened versions also, they feed the bacteria, and you won't get the medicinal benefits. You can mix unsweetened cranberry powder into water, or you can just eat a fresh cranberry. Sparingly, they're tart. Now, there are two more things that I have got to talk about in this episode. These are the two of the most powerful tools against cavities. And guess what? It's not toothpaste and it's not floss. It's xylitol and probiotics. Xylitol is a sugar alcohol that actually tricks bacteria. They eat it, but then they can't digest it. So they starve. Studies show that 1 to 2 doses of 5 grams per day, either in gum or mints, can reduce cavities by up to 80% over time. Now, this is 100% xylitol. This isn't added to other sugary things in your gum. You have to get a gum or a mint that is sweetened with 100% xylitol. The other thing is oral probiotics, like L-Leucori, that crowd out harmful bacteria. You can find them in lozenges or in powders. And I will have information on how to find both of these in the show notes. The probiotic that I've been recommending to my patients is BioGaia. It is the most studied oral probiotic out there, and I have seen amazing results. Not only have I seen amazing results from me working as a hygienist, but my patients have actually come back to me to say that they have noticed a difference. Wow, that's amazing. Like I said, I will have more information about xylitol and the probiotic that I recommend in the show notes. If you really want to take control and know what is going on in your mouth, salivary testing is the game changer. It is the future of oral care. And I am so excited to be a dental hygienist in this day and age, and that our office actually performs salivary testing. It has been so helpful as a dental hygienist to know what we are fighting against. It is like a gut microbiome test for the mouth, and it shows which harmful bacteria you have and how much. Your saliva's pH and the buffering capacity. It shows your risk of cavities, gum disease, and even bad breath. The other thing is this particular one that we use, it actually gives you more information about the strains of bacteria and how it plays in a systemic component. So bacteria, like I said, we swallow a liter or so of saliva a day. And in that complex is bacteria. The bacteria land in our bloodstream, it lands in our organs, and it has been linked to things like autoimmune disorders, heart disease, diabetes, cancer. So it gives you a snapshot of where your saliva is and the systemic issues that you could have in the future if you don't gain control of the specific strains of bacteria that's in your mouth. So, for people with chronic cavities, this can reveal exactly what's going wrong, and so we can fix it. Let's recap. Cavities aren't just about sugar. It's about bacteria, saliva, and your own unique oral ecosystem. Today's key takeaways is reduce frequent snacking, especially sticky carbohydrates. Sugars and carbs aren't good for us anyway, so why are we even bothering eating them? Support your saliva by staying hydrated, chew things like xylitol gum, and try to do things to counteract your dry mouth if you are a dry mouth sufferer. Try to think about natural antibacterial foods and herbs like green tea, licorice root, and crunchy vegetables and incorporate them into your diet. Try things like xylitol probiotics. They're proven to rebalance your mouth. And consider salivary testing. If you're struggling with cavities, salivary testing can reveal exactly what's off. It's very easy to do. You simply just spit into a tube. It goes into the mailer. It goes to the lab. It comes back in the results come back in about a week and a half, and your dental provider can help you navigate the test results, come up with a plan to help you get your saliva in a much better balance that can then systemically sustain your body so that you can live a happier, healthier life. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I'd love to hear from you. If you've been battling with cavities, I would love to be able to help you. Just let me know how I can. And if you've ever tried any of these strategies, what worked? I'd love to know. Drop a comment or just direct message me. And if you found this to be helpful, share it with someone who's always battling cavities. Hey, thanks for listening. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.